I just got ready for the day, and it is a beautiful, almost spring day, and I'm going to get out of the house. I'm riding solo today because my boyfriend just left for a business trip, but it's beautiful out, and I have a couple of things I want to do, namely finish this book that I have been reading for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's dragging, and even though I'm actually enjoying it, this is another Louise Erdrich book after I loved The Painted Drum that I read a couple months ago. I really wanted to read more by her, and this one stood out to me called LaRose, and I'm actually enjoying it. It's just, there's a lot of bits and pieces, and it wasn't all like really flowing together for me, but now it's really picking up. I'm so close to being done. My goal for today is to finish this, so I'm going to go to a coffee shop and read this first. I do have a coffee that I got this morning, but I will save the rest of this for later so I can go and get out of the house. And then I have some research that I want to do to plan my sister's bachelorette. So that's the first bit of the day. And then I want to go to a used bookstore because I just signed up for another book club, because the first one I did wrapped up a couple weeks ago with Cat's Eye. And I just signed up for another one, and I need to pick up the first book. The first meeting is in like 2.5 weeks, but we only have to read like the first volume of the book, so I have some time. I'm not as stressed about the due date. I am but wearing like just a t-shirt under this, and I packed a sweater because I don't know like how I'm gonna feel. I think it's kind of chilly out, but I feel like when I walk I get hot. So let's head out, let's get a coffee and read this book. We're so close. Out, and I was successful with finishing LaRose. I am impressed by that book in so many ways, but I don't think it was super engaging, but I'm glad I read it, and I will be on the lookout for more by Louise Erdrich. But I tried to go to like one of my favorite used bookstores, but they never opened, and I'm wondering if it's because St. Patrick's Day, or I don't know. I waited out there for a while and they just never opened. So I made my way to Barnes & Noble to pick up my book club book, which is Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens. Obviously, I have never read anything by Dickens before, so I'm a little bit nervous. For our first meeting, I have to read volume 1. which is that much. So it's about half of the book. So I have a lot of reading to do. I was going to start another book, but when I picked this one up and I looked through it, I was like, okay, I need to start this with enough time because I'm new to Dickens. I feel like he's a bit challenging just in like how dated the novel is or the writing is, not the storytelling, but I'm just a bit worried about like getting to grips with his writing. I know I should be making the most of my weekend and going to the park to read, but I want to give this 100% of my attention. I think I'll get distracted if I read at the park. So I'm going to read here for a couple hours and then probably head out again a little bit later on and just do a nice long walk and listen to an audiobook or something. But yeah, I feel quite excited to read this. The book club has 2 Dickens novels that we're going to read and then 2 other books that I haven't looked at the full list. So the reason we chose that book club to do is because I don't think I would pick up a Dickens without some sort of guiding force, knowing that we're going to talk about it as a group. So I'm glad I have a kind of an excuse to read a classic and multiple books by him. So I'm feeling good about this. So I'm going to sit here and read. One of the best things about this apartment is the gorgeous natural light we get in the daytime in the bedroom. The rest of the rooms are so dark, like the family room right now looks like it's 6 o'clock at night. So I'm going to read in here for a little bit so I don't fall asleep. And yeah, we'll head out in a couple hours. absolutely loving this book, and I'm shocked by how much I'm enjoying it. I thought it would be a bit more challenging, and it is. Like, I do have to read very closely, and sometimes the language, I get like a bit hung up on, like the meaning of things, or even just like the cadence of the writing. I just have to read it very closely. But I am obsessed with this book so far, and I really didn't expect to love it so much. I just thought it would be like, honestly, a bit of a slump to get through, but I'm absolutely loving this. It is a massive cast of characters, and that's really what like the first 80 or so pages, and even up till now, like you have to read very closely to see like what storyline we're following, who's who. Every character is like a pretty in-depth backstory, and you have to like remember what their motivations are and who their connections are. But this book is so witty and funny, just like the way people think of themselves, and like the very high opinions people have of themselves, and like the societal, like the outrageous things people do and the way they behave. So it's really like a joy to read. I'm shocked by how much I'm enjoying it. It does remind me a bit of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, just of like the oddities of like human behavior and the way people interact and think very highly of each other and are thinking poorly of other people in their social circle. Yeah, it's just so funny and witty. Like, I just didn't expect a book that was written in the 1860s to make me laugh, and it absolutely is. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading more this week and just seeing where the story takes us. Every time I put the book down and then pick it back up, like however long later, I have to remind myself of like the person's backstory. So I've been keeping like very thorough notes just on my phone of the person's name, maybe like their occupation, who they're working with, the last conversation they had, just so I can pick it up a bit more easily, just because there's so many names and even families and their daughters and their connections. The quick synopsis is that it's about a young man, Harmon, was murdered, and his inheritance has gone to a servant of his family. And I think it's believed that like the inheritance skips some people, and a lot of people are now keeping an eye on the couple that received this massive inheritance. But it's really, at least so far, it's way bigger than that. Like, the inheritance has only been like a little bit of the story. We've really been introduced to all of these wacky and interesting different characters, from a man who sits outside of a famous residence and sells different oddities and has a wooden leg and is trying to buy his leg back from this odd other man who collects human bones, to like a very well-off family who has a daughter that they kind of try to hide from society. Like, all of these different things. It's really like a rollicking story. I'm excited to see it all come together, because I think it will become clear like the different forces at play in the background. It's absolutely beautiful outside. The sky is so blue, the grass is so green. I'm going to take the dog on a walk in a little bit, but for now I'm just going to go inside and read the day away, because I have nothing else planned.